All right.
Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Okay.
All right, we're recording. All right, guys. So this is something different, but every episode is going to be different. So I hope you guys are enjoying this thing. And audio listeners, we just switched our set. We moved into the other room because people are... What are they doing out there, Anthony?
They're trimming the trees, you know? They're making the campus look pretty, you know?
But we are going to go strong and carry on. You were talking about your journey in starting in singing. Do you want to maybe elaborate more on that and then just jump right back into it?
Sure. Like I said, I mean, I grew up playing piano, and I mean, since the age of 4, you know, I've been playing piano, and since 11, I've been playing the saxophone. But I started singing when I was like basically fresh out of the womb, you know, like because I grew up in a family that it was very musical. I mean, my mom's brothers, she has 4 brothers. They're all doctors or psychologists, but at the same time, they're all operatic tenors. And also my dad is a tenor, and my mom is a soprano. They all love all that kind of music. And my dad's family is super musical. I mean, we mentioned Dr. Rodriguez is my great uncle. He's my dad's uncle, even though they're the same age. Funny story there. Oh, but
yeah.
But I grew up listening to, I mean, in an environment where the 3 tenors was I would play the laser discs of 3 tenors at home, or, you know, I'd listen to the recordings of Luciano Pavarotti and Placido Domingo and Jose Carreras and all these amazing singers and tenors, you know. And so then I mean, and Andrea Bocelli and all this stuff, you know. So when I was a kid, I used to, like, by the time I was 2 or 3, I knew all the lyrics for La Donna Immobile and like all these famous Italian arias. I would sing them wherever I went, and I'd get, like, in family get-togethers, I'd get up, and I was like, cool, this is a limelight, this is my time. So I'd go up, and then I'd stand up in front of them, and I'd close my eyes, like Andrea Bocelli, pretend to be blind, and start singing La Donna Immobile as I, like, pretending to be blind and, like, trying to sing. It's so funny.
So you were kind of like born to be a tenor, huh? With all that family.
I didn't have a choice, man. I didn't have a choice.
For some of the people that aren't really aware of, like, the musical terms and stuff, can you break down what a tenor is and, like, what role they play in the singing space? Sure. I mean, you know, and in like a choir setting is probably easier to talk about. Right. The voice is like, you know, when you get into choir, you audition, you know, you sing la 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 la, then the director's like, okay, let's go lower, let's go higher, let's see what voice you are. And that's a kind of a controversial subject amongst a lot of singers. Yeah. In the singing world, it's like putting a label on someone's voice sometimes doesn't always work. Oh, but do you think it's like based on the singer himself, or I mean, yeah? I mean, it depends. I mean, like for me, I'm a tenor. Like there's no doubt. Oh, I see. I'm a tenor. You know, I mean, my range is a tenor range. No doubt about it. But other people have, you know, I'm gonna get really into really complicated singing terms right now, but you know, you have range, right? How your lowest note to your highest note, right? And that's your range. But your tessitura, that's the Italian word for, like, the part of your voice you feel most comfortable singing in. And it doesn't mean exactly whether your range, you know, because a lot of people could have big ranges. Like, a lot of people can have really big high notes and still be a baritone, like which is like a lower male voice, you know. Yeah. In choir, you have the highest voice being sopranos, and then come the altos, and then the tenors, and the basses, or, you know, and you can split basses up into 2 categories: the really low basses that sing these low notes, and then there's the baritones, which are, most guys are around baritone. You know, that's like the most common voice type for males, is like a baritone voice. And I happen to be a tenor that, you know, I have a higher male voice, you know. Although
And then I could talk for hours probably about the different voice types and the different repertoire.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, that's something that's a really big topic in the singing world. But, but yeah, it depends on the singer where it really, you know, on your voice, what God gave you when you were born, you know?
Yeah. When you started to develop the type of vocalist you are, can you maybe run through like the processes of like your practices when you were young, or like just how that happened to progress your skill set?
Well, like I said, I was singing since I was like a little kid, but by the time I was like 3 or 4, I kind of stopped, and I don't really know why. I guess I felt like I didn't really want like all the attention it was bringing me at the time, because I would, you know, at the time it was kind of like a crazy freak of nature thing to have like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old sing an Italian aria, sure. Right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So people would like really, like people were, you know, they would gather around me in the mall. I'd just start singing out of nowhere, and the people would just there'd be a crowd of people. And my grandpa tells a story of how that happened one time, and he would step back, and he was like, I don't know the guy. Like, I don't know the kid. Whose kid is that? I don't know. But I guess I didn't like the attention after a while. And I was like, you know what? I'm not ready for this, but one day I will be. And when I started like a little older, like in high school, maybe in junior high even, I would listen a lot. I think I've always listened a lot to that kind of music. I've always fascinated me. Just the music just calls me to it. You know, I have like this draw to the music, and so then it inspired me to keep listening and practicing. I mean, when I was in junior high and high school, I was a closet shower singer, you know. I would go in the closet, and late at night I would say I'm studying, you know. Mom, I'm gonna go study, you know. No studying be done, you know. And it's still to this day, as very little studying happens. But I would go into my closet where everybody was sleeping, so that I wouldn't make any much noise, you know. And I'd go in there and I'd play a video or a recording of the greats, you know, like Luciano Pavarotti or Andrea Bocelli, and I'd try to imitate them. And I would, with my voice, I'd practice, try to imitate them, you know, like I would listen so closely to every little thing they did. And now I think that's one of the greatest things that I've done for my singing career. Is not the practice, it's not the roles or anything like that. It's all the listening I've done. I think that's what's really helped me the most out of everything, because now I have tuned my ears to little things that have really helped me, you know, and I kind of learned that on my own. There's not really anybody that teaches you that, you know.
Yeah. So who was it that introduced you to the genre of opera? I mean, if you would call it a genre, but you know, like that type of music, the style of opera singing, are these individuals that you're talking about? Like who was it that kind of put that into your life?
Right. Well, like I said before, like I kind of grew up in that environment, you know, like my family was always listening to that kind of stuff. And as a kid, you know, we'd put on those fantastic videos of all those great singers, and like the Three Tenors. I remember watching the Three Tenors for the first time, and I would watch it day after day, every day, all the time, over and over again. And I think I just caught on to it. It just grasped my attention since then. And I've just never really let go of it. I remember I've always liked that kind of music. I mean, I remember going on iTunes and looking for songs by the Three Tenors or Pavarotti or Domingo or whatever, all these people. And I don't remember a time when I'd never listened to that music. I've always been listening to that music.
Yeah.
And so it's like a really big part of me. But I grew up with a lot of different music too. Mm-hmm. And so I like all kinds of music. It's not just that music. And I love to play all kinds of music too. But I don't know, there's something about that kind of music. And I knew that, I don't know, I had this feeling, and I knew that one day I was going to be good at that kind of music. I don't know. I felt like I had a talent, like a calling to that kind of thing. And, you know, it turned out.
So that brings us to the opera that you guys are doing right now, the Magical Flute. Yeah. And I think that's really
awesome, and it's an interesting thing. What goes on in the process of developing those types of performances? Like, what's your workload like?
Well, yeah, like you said, we're doing the Magic Flute at here at school at HMA. We just finished our first weekend. It went great. I mean, there's a lot of people that turned out, so that was nice. It's an opera by Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who everyone knows Mozart. He's
right.
he's a household name still to this day. Mozart was famous when he lived, was famous when he died, and he's still famous today. So that's kind of special to be able to do an opera that's his music, But it's a lot of work, It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do a production like that and to learn that kind of music, because it requires a lot of dedication, And being a college kid, being a college student and trying to pass, science in the future, trying to pass math, and at the same time, studying these scores and studying this music, we're singing the whole thing in German, so it's like at the same time learning a new language almost, so you could sing it, learning the blocking, learning a ton of things, and then you have to research it. Then you have to know what you're singing about. Or you have to know about. You can't. It's the thing about this kind of music is that it's so deep. There's so many things that went into this kind of thing. That you would never know, and it definitely affects your performance, because it's just so deep. And if you know what it was about, like Magic Flute was basically Mozart's last opera. He died 9 weeks after he premiered it. And most people don't know. Most people wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
But that's something really monumental, because this is something in Mozart's late life, when he was depressed and without any money, and he was like looking in. That's why the opera's like so spiritual. It's not common for Mozart repertoire. And that's kind of thing, the little things that you have to research. And so doing all this while trying to pass college and stuff like that's a lot. Right now I'm taking, I think it's 21 units.
Oh, wow.
22 units or something. I forget. I'm always doing something crazy like that. And then on top of that, I do chamber singers and the chorale over here and the big band.
Wow.
And so it's a lot, but
How has it felt sharing this performance with the audience?
It's been really fun. I really love playing Tamino, who's the lead, my role. He's the prince, which is like the principal role in the opera. It's been super fun, because the opera's funny. It's kind of it's quirky. It's not like a very serious. You hear about, when you think opera, you think of these dramatic Italian stories, or these German, huge like very serious dramatic things with this fat lady with the Viking horns on, and all this stuff. But it's not all like that. This opera is lighthearted, it's quirky, and it's fun. It's just fun running around the stage playing a magic flute, and running from a snake, and it's like it's a fairy tale opera. So a lot of crazy things happen in the opera that no one expects,
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun. It's been pretty fun. The audience reacts well. It's always nice to hear an applause or a laugh. Or something. It's you feel like that's the moment. Gratitude, for you. And just like the feeling like, what I'm doing, it's great, you sing for the audience, but you also, if you really love it, you really sing for yourself, and to hear that other people are joining in on your parade is like, oh, this is awesome, because I don't really sing for the audience per se, although that's, I do. I love having an audience, and it's nothing like having applause, but it's because it's more like they're joining my,
that's important. That's crazy.
like they're jumping on my wagon instead of me trying to like reach something. You know what I mean? Instead of me trying to reach them, they're joining me. Kind of. That's the feeling.
You feel like that's an important aspect to performing? Like, do you think that like important the way that you think about it, your mindset when going into these performances? Do you have like any advice to maybe vocalists that are stepping into this type of thing?
Right. Well, how you think of your philosophy of your art is
one of the biggest things of art. You know, one of the biggest things that draws art is creativity. It's a worldview. It's philosophy. It's your personality. You know, and how you view when you go on stage is you know, could be a night or day kind of thing. You know, I mean, when someone goes on the stage with the attitude like, you know, I'm great. You know, I'm great. I'm here because people love me and applause for me, and you're you know, you're always doing these extra things. You know, people, I think sometimes, at least for me, I can tell in the audience where I'm like, oh, this person it's not natural what they're doing. It's something that is forced. I feel like I'm being forced upon, something's being forced upon me as an audience member. And that's, you know, people don't like that, you know. You have to go on the stage with a certain humility. I mean, it's almost like, it's almost contrary to being humble to talk about humility, but but I mean, you have to go on stage to feeling like in a humble place to say, you know, because you're really nothing, you know, you're somebody who's developing their talent for themselves, basically, but people just happen to like listening to you also. You know, I believe that, you know, every talent is a God-given thing, and it's our responsibility to use it and to give it back to the world, because that's what we have it. The purpose of life is to find your gift, but the meaning of life is using your gift. And so you find meaning in just singing anywhere. It doesn't matter where, you know, but it, you know, it does feel good to be on stage and have an audience stand up and a round of applause and roars and, you know, all that. I mean, it feels, and there's nothing like that. It's like a drug, you know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you deserve it, because after all that hard work you put into learning the songs and doing the you know, translations and understanding the background of these performances, that's actually really amazing. I feel like the mindset of being humble, or first off, I feel like you have that mindset set down, but do you feel like it was a process of growing into that type of thinking, or was it something that you always had in heart?
Well, I mean, I've always liked, I'm an outgoing person. I like, you know, when there's a spotlight, I'm not afraid to jump in it, but at the same time, I don't, you know, I just do music because I love music. I sing this kind of music because I feel like I have to sing it. I just, in me, I just have to do it. It's like taking a fish out of water and trying to make it walk. You know, this fish has to swim. That's what I feel like with this music. Like I have to just sing this music. It's just natural for me, and I don't think about whether or not people really like me or like my voice, or I mean, I'm so grateful for them afterwards. They're like, "Oh, I love your voice," and "Oh, thank you for this," and "Thank you for that," and I love that. You know, of course, it feels great. You know, but I'm never satisfied with myself. You know, I'm always just trying to beat myself yesterday. Today in the practice room, if I'm going to practice today, I want to do it better than I did yesterday, and that's the best satisfaction I get. Not really what.
How's that in performances? Do you try to outdo yourself the performance before? Is it a similar?
Yeah, definitely.
Similar thing?
Definitely. And that's the biggest thing, maybe, that I'm trying to beat my last performance when I'm on stage. And if I could beat my last performance, then I'm like, yes. Then I feel good. I knew I killed it. I knew that was like, that's good. That's progress for me. And if people like it, you know, they're gonna, and then that's even a more like, you know, support for what you're doing. But it's about just, you know, progressing yourself. At least for me, you know. And that's the thing about the musician. We're in this constant dark black hole that never satisfied with yourself. But that's what I guess brings good progress too, you know.
Yeah. So you've been being a very talented and gifted musician, you've been into a couple of competitions. What's something that people don't understand about these competitions, or they don't know about these competitions?
Every competition is kind of has its own little particular things, but a lot of the times there's there's certain rules sometimes that are kind of quirky. Like when I'm filming a video, a lot of times you have to, when you're applying for a competition, you have to look at all the rules, because there's certain requirements you have to meet. You have to sing this kind of repertoire. You have to sing in these kinds of languages. You have to sing. You can sing these arias, but only if they're in this language. Or you can sing this. It's kind of very specific. And then once you prepare the music for that, and then most of the time you have to send in like a video. And when you send in a video, they have different requirements, like, separate the two songs. If you record two songs, but then separate them. So you put two videos on, and then get an angle as close to you as possible. And then the pianist can only have original copies. Or if there's a page turner, you have to make sure they're not in the shot. Or you have to, it's like all these rules. Yeah. It's kind of a quirky thing that I don't think, it takes a lot of work actually to do kind of one of those things. But, and then you go, if you get called back most of the time. I mean, I did a competition where it was the Hal Leonard vocal competition was all online. It was the first vocal competition to be all online. And so I just submitted a video, and that was it. They told me, I thank God that I won. I was able to win first place, but they just tell me afterwards. But I just applied to a competition in Boston, the Classical Singers Music Competition. It's happening in Boston. It's like this convention of like, I don't know if anybody knows about like NAMM. I don't know if you heard about NAMM. It's like, all the best of the best, like musicians and music companies. Like, I mean, if you want to get a guitar, there's like 1,000, guitar companies there, and saxophones and whatever. I mean, whatever you want, recording, all that. There's one of those things, but for classical musicians, and it happens every year.
Oh wow, that's
and
awesome.
This year's in Boston, and so I filmed a couple videos just the other day to send over there, and they're gonna, send me an email. It's like, congrats, you've been accepted. Now I have to go there. If they, if I get accepted.
Which you are.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then I go, and then I have to sing for like 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Like the first round is like live. The judges, most people don't know about competitions too is that, like, it's funny being a musician, because you literally get on stage, and a lot of times when you do master classes or competitions, you're getting on stage for the purpose to be judged. Most people don't like to be judged, but as a musician, you have to be vulnerable to that all the time. And that's why a lot of people, being a musician is hard. It's very hard emotionally. And it's very stressful, because you constantly hear either rejection or criticism. And it's just like, it's part of the culture. I mean, I'm going on that stage so that judges can write comments about me. It's like, oh, you did this right. I didn't like this. You did this. I think you can work on this and this. And then you go and you practice that for the next time. And hopefully you could win that time, And that's kind of the scary part of it. Stand on stage. It's like just a little group of judges, and poof, the light turns on. It's your turn. Give us what you got, And so that's kind of like the scary part of the competition. But
so the feelings when you perform, is there maybe less anxiety when doing a school performance versus a competition? Or would you say it's kind of like the same thing?
I guess it's kind of, depends what kind of performance, but but if, let's say if we're going to compare the opera we're doing right now, I was pretty anxious the first night for the opera. I was like making sure I knew my words. And before I went on stage, I was opening the book, and I was like practicing my German. I was like, oh my God. And then when I'm on stage, and then I ended up actually, since I was so worried about it, I ended up missing a couple things. And then the next day, Sunday when we did it, I showed up and I was relaxed. I was like, you know what? I know this, and it's fine. And I did better on stage.
Oh, that's awesome.
That day, but if someone tells you that they have no nerves, then they're lying. If someone says, "Oh yeah, I don't get nervous," then they're lying. Every musician every performer always has some nerves. That's like that. If you have nerves and you're dying of nervousness, like that's common. you know, and it actually helps if you have a little bit of this rush, like, oh my God, I have to do good. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Then it helps you, you know, and that helps a little bit for competitions. But I remember in one competition, I did the Redlands Bowl Young Artist competition, which I also, thank God, I was able to win that too.
Oh wow, yeah.
But I remember like 2 hours before we went to go eat because we were starving. But it's like in about an hour and a half before whenever I have to sing, I can't eat anymore. My body's just like, nope, shut down, punk, nope, nothing. And I was just like so nervous, and I was just like so cold. My body became so cold, and I was like basically like shaking, shivering. Like couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything. So freaking nervous. And then when I show up to the competition, I get on stage, and then my nerves are gone. But it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
An hour before, I'm like a wreck.
Wow.
And then when I'm on stage, I'm like, okay, I made it. I'm here. I'm just gonna do the best I can. Forget about it. Mm-hmm. And then I did. And so I sang my 2 hours, whatever. I was like the first one. I sat down on this chair, and it was like this relief. And I was like, oh, I could just sleep. I don't even care who won. I just want to sleep. And then, you know, later they tell you, and that was like the first one they announced too. They're like, oh, Anthony León. I was like, what the heck? I wasn't expecting anything. I was sleeping probably.
Dang, that's amazing.
But, you know, nerves is just a part of your life as a musician. You have to get used to it. It's like a friend. You know.
What are the best and worst parts of being a vocalist?
That's a good question. The best part and worst part is also the same thing, because it's like a blessing and a curse. Because when you're on stage, there's something about the voice, or something about just singing in general, is the connection you can make with someone who's listening to you is, I think, unparalleled. Other musicians and other instrumentalists, they can connect with the audience, but they're going through a medium. You know, if you're a pianist, you're communicating your feelings through a big black box, and people have to understand what you want to say through that big black box, you know, through the hammers that hit the strings, you know, all this kind of mechanisms in between your hands and the piano and the audience. And even me, that I play saxophone too. When I'm playing saxophone, I can really feel something. I could really put my heart and soul into like playing, and it'll touch people. But there's another element when you're singing in the voice where it's just you. You know, it's just you. It's whatever you are, everything your voice is, your language. That's another thing that other instruments can't do is language. My words could actually touch somebody. And I think that's the biggest blessing. And that's the biggest, that's the diamond in singing, is that you can communicate like no other thing. And that's why it's so natural. Singing is a part of the human life. You know, we sing happy birthday every time people celebrate their birthdays. We sing when we're sad. We sing when we're happy. We sing in the shower. You heard a good song, you just singing along. You know, in the car, how many people turn on the radio and they sing along? Singing is a part of a human expression, and when someone does it very specially, and you hear it, and you're like, wow, that communication is special to singing. But at the same time, being so vulnerable is also the curse. Because you're on stage, and literally it's just the most vulnerable. I think the most vulnerable anybody can be is on stage, in front of everybody, ready to just sing something or just present something, talk or whatever. You know, you just have to open yourself up. And as a singer, you kind of have to get used to that. You know, some people thrive doing that. You know, but other people it's hard. But that's probably the biggest blessing and curse all rolled in one. Another bad thing is, this is just technical things, like, you know, when you're in like a recital, doing a singing recital, you're expected to go up on the stage, everything memorized, including the language. Wow. Everything pronounced exactly right, every note there, you know, and you can't mess up anything. But then
violinists can go on stage and they have music and they have a stand and they can read music. But if a singer is reading from a stand, it's like, oh God, he doesn't know his stuff, you know?
Wow,
so it's like a double standard there that kind of mad about, but whatever. We can fix that.
Do you see a future for yourself within singing?
Yeah, I mean, I hope to, after this, I hope to apply for graduate school, conservatories, you know, all across the country, and hopefully get a master's degree. Go to like, we're looking at ones like, you know, like Yale School of Music or Juilliard or whatever, you know, all those big names, you know, so fancy. Ooh la la. But, you know, just to get some good training and get, you know, a master's degree. And then after that, you know, it's hitting the stages, you know, doing big time competitions. And I would love to record one day and be on stage in opera and Broadway, why not? I mean, I like all kinds of music, so I like to fuse a lot of my different backgrounds, and why not? You know, wherever God leads, but I know that first I have to just develop my talent as far as I can take it.
Is there a piece of advice that stayed with you when you were in the process of becoming who you are today with singing? Is there anything particular that stuck with you?
One of the best pieces of advice that I received was, I think, from my dad, who said that you never know who's going to be listening. You never know who's going to be the audience. Doesn't matter if there's 3 people there. Doesn't matter if there's 3,000 people there. You never know. You have to perform the best every time. Every time you perform has to be the best time you perform, because you never know. And I found that to be true. I mean, I was at a house party, and I was singing there. They invited me to sing. It was this dinner party that they had. There was maybe like 15, 20 people there. I mean, like 15 people or something, like, you know, little crowd. And I sang. I thought I sang really well, and, you know, I didn't think much of it. But one of the people there happened to be in the board of the Redland Symphony, and he recorded me singing, and he had a couple of videos of me singing, and he sent those videos to the director of the Redland Symphony, who is Ransom Wilson, who happens to be one of the greatest flute players in the world and is faculty at Yale School of Music. He saw my videos. He was impressed, and he sent them to the Yale School of Music opera director, who's Doris Sierra Cross. He sent it to her. She saw the videos, and then they started like emailing me. I got an email first from Ransom, from Jim, and then pretty soon I was talking to the Yale School of Music opera director, and then they were wondering if I could, you know, go study there, and they emailed me to go study there. When does that happen? It's a hookup from heaven, you know.
Yeah, that's intense.
I mean, I'm not saying this story to like toot my own horn, you know, but I'm just saying that you never know.
Right.
You know, you absolutely never know. Anything could come out of anything. And that's how God works in such weird, mysterious ways, you know? I mean, I don't deserve any of that. I don't don't even know where that would come from, but it happened, you know? So you never know. And that's something that you can apply to life too, you know? You always have to be on your game. You have to be always a good person. You always have to treat people well. You always have to be nice, be courteous, have a smile. This is, you know, this life in this world is too little to, you know, not be like that all the time, because you never know. You never know whose life you could help. You never know whose day you could make. You never know what could come at you from being, you know, on your toes. So,
all right, so we're gonna do something new on this episode. We're gonna talk. We're gonna. I'm just gonna shoot you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll get people to know you a little bit better.
All right, sweet.
So first one.
I'm scared. All right.
Are you a introvert or extrovert?
I think most people would think that I'm like really extroverted because of all this performing and stuff. Maybe because of all the performing and extroverted things I do. I like to go out and with friends, stuff like that all the time. But I also have my introverted side. I need like some time alone to just, you know, meditate and and absorb the aura of the universe and think about just a bunch of random or nothing at all. I love to be in my nothing box and just stay in there and just be dead as like.
Yeah. So what's the last awkward situation you've been in?
The last awkward situation I've been in. Oh gosh. We were in this music project thing and with all these people, and we did like an okay job, but like they weren't that prepared for the recording session. A lot of us weren't that prepared for the recording session, and so like yesterday they brought in the director and the guy who wrote the arrangement, and he comes in and he was like, I was furious at the recording session because none of you were prepared and all this, and he just totally shredded us apart. Wow. We were just sitting there like, oh God, what do we say? I don't know what to that was a little awkward, like, you know, that silence afterwards. He was done and just like any questions? I was like, cricket. Oh, wow. Cricket. That was pretty awkward.
What is your jam right now?
My jam right now?
Yeah.
Ooh. The last thing I jammed out into the car was this morning. I was playing, I love salsa music. Okay. My dad is Cuban, my mom is Colombian. So I grew up listening to Mark Anthony and all these like Ricky Martin and all these like salseros, you know. And I was in my car, I was playing Mark Anthony, Aguanile from the movie El Cantante. And also I was listening to a new record by I forgot his name now. Gosh, but it was really good. Salsa music.
What's your wallpaper on your phone, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh shoot, my wallpaper. Well, I think on the inside it's really basic, but like on the outside, it's just it's of right now. There's like stuff on it, but it's of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Last time I was there, it's like
you got a shot.
It's like a.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like the canal, you know. You can make it with this new iPhone 10. You can make it move. You can just like. So cool.
What's the last thing you Googled?
The last thing I Googled. What was the last thing I Googled? Can I check?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what the last thing I Googled was. Oh, okay. The last thing I Googled was Riccardo Muti. I don't know if you guys know who that is, or if anyone doesn't know who that is, or if you know, but he's the current conductor of the Chicago Symphony. Oh, wow. And he's at the Chicago Symphony. He's been at the Chicago Symphony for like 6 years, but before that, he was at Teatro alla Scala in Milan for 20 years. And that's like the greatest opera house in the world. So he's like a legend, to say the least. Yeah, he's like one of the best of all time. And I was like looking him up.
Scrabble or charades?
Charades, dude.
That's awesome.
Definitely. I'm all about that. Improv acting life. I love that.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate. That's too basic, bro.
Yeah. One word that you're guilty of saying too often.
Oh. I think I say like, really? Or yeah? A lot. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I'm like in a conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, oh really, oh yeah. I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta stop saying that.
Who's the last person you called or texted? Or who's the last person that called or texted you?
Oh,
sorry.
I just been texting Jonathan Momora.
Okay.
Who graduated last year. For
shout out to Jonathan.
I know. Shout out to Jonathan Momora. He's an unbelievable pianist who right now is at Juilliard, nonetheless, you know, and in New York City, killing the game. He's back now just for a couple weeks, so we're gonna get some lunch. But
other than singing, what would be your hobby?
Oh God, you know, I was thinking about that the other day because I was like, what would I be without music? Am I anything else besides a musician? But I don't know. I love history. I love language. You know, I might have been an actor, maybe.
I can see that.
I mean, I might still be an actor. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know, something like that. Something still creative. But I love language. I love like history. I love like drama, all that stuff.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles. I'm not about the pancakes too much. Not that I don't like pancakes. But
yeah.
Why would you have a pancake if you had a waffle?
Yeah. Winter or summer?
Summer, dude. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. In the winter I shrivel up and die. I'm like a lizard. I need the sun, bro.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'm just like, oh, right now I'm suffering. It's not even that cold outside. How cold is it outside? It's like 50s or something like that. I'm like freezing my buns off. Yeah.
Are you a night owl or a early bird?
I don't remember the last time I went to bed before midnight.
Yeah?
I don't remember the last time. I mean,
wow.
I don't know if it's ever happened. I'm such a night owl. The mornings, I'm like Dracula in the morning.
Yeah,
I get up, I'm like, shut the windows. The sun's burning. But yeah, this quarter I had to get used to getting up early though, because I had a 7 a.m. class. Oh, God Almighty,
that's intense.
Yeah, pray for me.
What's your favorite snack?
What is my favorite snack? You know, I love going to Eagle's Nest and getting those Maui onion chips. Those are good. I love those Maui. I would get those every time. I'm upset when they don't have them. Sometimes they don't have them.
Oh, man.
But I also love cookies.
I think we'll wrap it up here. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about or say to the audience that is listening, the campus?
Well, I mean, thanks. If you've listened this far, thanks for.
I know, right?
Thanks for wanting to listen to my voice. I mean, I appreciate it. I can barely even listen to myself talk, but if you listen to this whole thing, thank you. And also, keep an ear and an eye out. We're always doing things at the music department.
Yeah, for
sure. We got a bunch of things going on. I think April 22nd is alumni homecoming weekend.
Oh, wow.
Doing. I also won the concerto competition recently that we had here at school, so thank God I was fortunate for that. And I'm going to be performing because I won the competition on April 22nd. In the evening, I think it's a Sunday, so come out to that. I'm going to do full orchestra, and we're doing Beethoven's 9, and there's a bunch of crazy cool things, and so just keep your ears and eyes out, and don't stop believing in your dreams.
I feel it.
I know it's so corny, but the dreams do come true.
That's
it really is true.
Yeah. So if people that are listening want to, how can they get connected with you? Do you have a website? Do you have social media?
You know what? I just opened up my website like a few weeks ago. You can go AnthonyLeónTenor.com, and that's me. Also, I just opened up a Facebook page, Anthony León, and on Instagram you can find me Anthony León too. And yeah, just keep updated with me. I'm going to be posting a bunch of stuff. I'm really terrible at social media, but I'm going to learn, and hopefully put some videos up and some pictures, and you can see my life. Sometimes it's pretty interesting when I get to go out and do crazy cool concerts and stuff, like meet crazy people and stuff. So yeah.
Well, there you guys have it. Thank you for stopping by. I think it was awesome.
Buddy, it was a pleasure, man. It was a pleasure.